welcome back to the Bunk and Pick podcast. Pick here with Bunk. What voice do you have for us today?
Whoa, ho, ho, ho! It's Christmas week, folks. Little Santa Claus, Christopher Kringle. It is how he sounds. He's Nordic. He goes ho, ho, ho.
That was like the voice on the radio that does like the promo cuts before they go into the show.
Christopher Kringle here. I did an Irish Chris Kringle. There you go, just for you.
There you go, Irish Kringle himself.
I know. God, if we had any Irish listeners,
they are not
brutal.
They are not listening anymore.
Brutal. I'm not trying to. I love the language. I'm not very good at it.
I think you need to spend more than just one time a week trying it, though.
I do it around the house. I do it around the house with Mrs. Bunkle.
All right.
She gets she gets them all, and she gets all kinds of. She gets more than she bargained for. Trust me.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Well, hey, your Yankees gave you a wonderful Christmas present at first base, my friend. The Goldschmidt on his way to New York.
You know what, Goldie's there. I got to tell you something. I told you when they didn't sign Soto that I was happy they didn't sign him. They've got 3 players now for less, still like $100 million less than Soto, and I think they've made some great, 4 players actually. I think they've made some great moves. I'm really happy with them.
That's gross to think about. $600 million bought you 4 players, or $765 million buys you 1.
Oh, I know.
Crazy.
I mean,
baseball's out of hand right now.
So we got Bellinger, we got Goldie, we got Devin Williams. I know we did part of that trade was a catcher, but I don't think he's gonna. He bats. I was looking him up. He's like a 120 batter.
That's definitely what I wanted to ask you about. That is Austin Wells going to be full time now?
He's the man.
What are they going to do at catching?
With who?
What are they going to do? They're going to go with Austin Wells full time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the games, he basically was full time last quarter of the year, and in the playoffs, he was the main catcher. So they got to get it back. They got to find somebody else to back him up. That kid that was part of the trade I don't believe he's going to be the one. But
when Tampa releases a guy, it's not good.
Nah, he's just his batting there. I mean, God, you wonder. You wonder how these guys hang. I'm sure he's nothing against the kid, but he bats like literally nothing. And it's just, I don't even understand it.
Defensive. If you're defensive, if you're good on the defense,
you're good. But I don't think he's even like elite there. So, I mean, I get it, but no, I'm excited about it. Now, I think they're going after Bregman for third base.
Need a second baseman. They need a second baseman.
They can move Jazz over there. And
they could move Jazz over there now that they've shored up center field with Bellinger.
They could.
Which is good. That's good.
The other thing, I mean, it's not popular with a lot of fans, but they could bring Gleyber back probably pretty cheap, to be honest with you.
Why would you not, though? He played so well down the stretch.
I thought he did well. He wants to be in New York. I had read where he turned down was it the A's or the Angels? I think it was the Angels.
I would turn down both of those even if I wasn't. I would turn down both of those.
I believe it was the Angels. I think he turned them down. I think he wants to play for the Yankees. So, you know what? Bring him back, man. He did great when they put him at leadoff. And, his only issue is sometimes he's just not there. And it's bad optics. But you know what? I don't know who else is out there. I mean, you can sign him fairly cheap, probably. You don't need to spend a ton of money. And honestly, Bregman, I like Bregman, but he's kind of at the end of his career. And you're taking a chance on him that he's going to be okay. He didn't do great in the first half of last year. I think he's still a good ball player, obviously, but there's definitely better third basemen out there.
There are for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think I'm seeing the Yankees make smart moves instead of splash moves this time, which is not necessary. They tried the splash move with Soto, and then I think all their backup plans are like smart moves. I wouldn't have gone for Soto if I could have got those 4. The amount of production they're going to get back is so much.
I'm thinking
so much more.
I got to say, this is probably one of the. I've seen him signed people in the past, and you kind of go, "Oh God!" You can kind of almost see. I mean, I think they've made good signings. I'm really happy with all the guys they signed. I think Goldsmith was a great sign. He'll be fine over it. He's a great defensive guy. He starts slow sometimes, but you know, he's he's pretty consistent when he gets going. So I'm happy with him. They could have signed Alonso, and I like Pete Alonso, but he strikes out an enormous amount of time, and they don't need another dude striking out 50 times, every freaking week. So they already got a DH that does that. So
strikes out quite a bit.
Yeah. So I'm happy with it. And there's been some other moves. I saw Walker Buehler just went to the Red Sox.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good landing spot for him?
He was pretty elite there for a while. I don't know what, because he's on the West Coast, sometimes you don't really get to follow some of these guys. But for some reason, he I thought he was a stud. But then, when he went into free agency, it was like, the Dodgers weren't like sad to lose him or anything. I figured he was one of their top guns. And
he came in and closed out the World Series.
He did, but from what I understand, the rest of the year he was just,
He was up and down, but he has a good arm.
I think he's a good ball player. The Red Sox are definitely making moves. The Mets are still freaking signing people. They got Manaea. They got him to stay. Tampa
made a move.
Who did Tampa sign?
They signed Eloy Jimenez to a minor league contract.
But they always do good with what they have. I can't. You know what? I know I mess with you, but they always are competitive. They're never going to be like a rebuild team ever.
No. So. It's just kind of, they're never ever going to be. You're never going to see those superstars. So the superstars that do turn up, like Glass now, right? They get traded when they have 2 years left because they get the most money back for that. Plus the Rays, and even with the A's, I saw guys signing with the A's that I saw Gio Urshela.
Gio Urshela signed with them.
Why? I'm sorry. Why would you ever want to go to that franchise?
They got him. And they got Severino. They signed him to a huge contract. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know. Are they trying to build up? It would be a good question to ask them. Like, what is your goal here? Are you because Severino's? That was a huge amount of money for him, and I don't think he's worth it. But I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. Are they trying to win now, kind of thing? Or are they just doing like they always do? Why would they
win now? They're going to play. They're going to play World. Hypothetically, if the A's somehow go on this unbelievable run that we've never seen in baseball ever before, and they make it to the playoffs, they're playing home games in a friggin' minor league field.
No, I agree with you. They're very confusing on what they're trying to do. I don't think, and those are, those two guys played for the Yankees, and Severino played for the Mets last year. Gio is a good guy, but he was never like the guy. He was always he could play a bunch of positions.
Quite a bit.
So I don't know what they're doing. I think that was they're going to be interesting to watch. The Angels too. I don't know.
Yeah,
what are they
weird
doing?
Moves too.
I don't get them.
It's just not. I don't know why those teams don't just tear down completely. The model's out there, right? The Astros did it. They tore down completely, and they lost the most amount of games. But in 3 years, they won the World Series. So, why not just tear down and load up the farm system on talent and just kind of start rebuilding? It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me either, because they never get enough talent to actually compete. But they're not I don't know. They spend money, but it's not the right money for some. They're a weird team out there too. But I don't think they're going to do anything. Some of the other sign I saw Jock Peterson sign with the Rangers. But he's a good signing for a DH. I think he had a good year.
They moved Nathaniel Lowe.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't think they would get rid of it. I thought he was kind of just their cornerstone first baseman.
That was surprising because he's a very good ball player. And he went to the Nationals for Robert Garcia. I don't get that one, but. I don't know, man.
That was probably it had to have been a money clearing move. Had to have been.
Maybe, but the Rangers got a lot of money, man.
They got a lot of,
They
and they have
they
a lot of
spend.
talent on that team.
Yeah,
So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm starting to see move. We're starting to see the movement. You called it right. Right after that first domino, right after we saw a Soto go, we're going to see kind of everybody start moving a bit. There's still some bigger free agents out there, but I think we're really seeing it happen now, right? We're going to
yeah.
see most of the moves that are going to happen now, which
Well,
I think the Yankees just positioned themselves really, really well.
I'm real happy with that. I mean, Christian Walker signed with the Astros. He was a big name out there on the
Mm-hmm.
first base. I think what it does now with Goldsmith, Christian Walker, I don't see a place for Alonso. I think he kind of screwed himself by turning down he turned down like 7-year, 128 million from the Mets before the season. But I don't know the name. He's not a great defensive guy. He's a great hitter, home run hitter. I think he screwed himself. I think he's gonna end up either signing really late or, which my guess he's gonna be late signee for 1 year. I just
Yeah.
don't. I don't. I think he messed up, man. I mean, I know
Yeah.
he wants to be a Met. They might bring him back, but I mean, they still need a first baseman. But that's gonna be a tough one right there.
It is going to be a tough one. So we'll see. We'll see. But baseball definitely coming right around the corner. We're almost there. February, we're going to start seeing pitchers
Yep.
and catchers report. I know football's now, but we do love our baseball season. So I'm
We
very
do. We do
excited.
love baseball. That's still our. That's my one. It's still my favorite. I still like baseball.
I love baseball too. But we do have to talk about some major things that happened. I see you messing around over there. Are you doing it?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna roll us into it. Ready? We're gonna
Give us one.
roll. We're gonna roll the balls into college football. Could you hear that?
No,
Ah,
I heard you.
damn it! Everybody else heard it. It's on the tape.
I heard you singing at
It's
me there.
nailed. We got it nailed.
All right. All right. Before we jump too far into it, I just want rapid reactions from you on this because there are some hot takes out there.
Okay.
And I want to see where you are. So, first thing that pops into your head on just really two big questions for me, right? Number one, it's going to pertain to Texas. Did Quinn shut up all the critics?
I mean, I think he played as good as he needed to. I mean, I thought he had a great game.
I did too.
I don't think he'll ever shut him up, but I think he played really. The one interception was not his fault, and I think he made all the other throws he needed to, and he ran a few. So I think he did great. I don't. I mean, that's my opinion. He is for some reason he is just like in the freaking eye of the storm all the time. He
I
shouldn't
know.
be. He
Well,
did well.
two reasons. There's two reasons for that, though. Number one, you have Arch Manning as your backup.
You
The name
do.
Manning's going to carry weight. But number two, his demeanor is never like fiery or never
Yeah.
super upset. He is just even keeled the whole way. So most people are like, well, does he even care? But he cares very much.
He
So
obviously
it's
cares.
different.
For me, he did what he needed. I mean, he's QB1. I don't.
Yeah.
There shouldn't even be a question about it. So there's one.
All right. We'll get into that game here soon. But rapid reaction number two. Do you believe, like all these other experts are saying, that Indiana and SMU did not deserve to be in this playoff?
No, I don't agree with that. I think they should have. I mean, you know what? It's that's just like hindsight's 2020 vision. They deserve to be there. They had great seasons. I'm going to say, you and I talked before. Every time when they have any kind of like there's gaps in playing, that kills these teams. And Indiana for sure, they didn't play in the Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think they did. You know what? You know what they're going to do? Here's my thing. Next year, then they're going to be going, oh shit, we shouldn't have done that. So let's get that Alabama back in there. Let's get, this guy. Those teams deserve to be there. And just, you know what? You can throw Tennessee in there. Tennessee had
the worst loss.
Yeah, they
had
got
the worst loss.
They got beat pretty bad, but I mean, I hate Ohio State, but friggin' Ohio State, they were on fire, man.
They look like world beaters that
Yeah,
game.
you know
Now,
what?
was that Tennessee just kind of shitting the bed, or was that
I don't
Ohio
think so.
State?
You know what? I think it's probably a little of both. And I think those teams all deserve to be there. They had great seasons. They should be rewarded with the opportunity to play. Because if you don't do that, you're going to screw somebody, which they will probably do next year. They're going to screw somebody that could go in there and could, do something. So they're already saying the same thing about Arizona State and Boise, and they haven't even played a freaking game yet.
Right.
So I'm sorry. They deserve to be there. I think, you know what? No matter what happened, it was gonna. You knew you were gonna hear shit about it, but I think they did good.
Here, I love the people that are saying, "Well, this is bad for." Well, look back at the past, right? Look back at the past 14 playoffs. There was a 62 to like 40 game, or no, it was 62-20 something. LSU blew the doors off of Oklahoma. There's been blowouts in the playoff every single time. I mean, the national championship game was a blowout with TCU, right? TCU beat Michigan. They
Yeah.
beat Michigan. So everybody that's in there, certain very heavily biased analysts out there that are just like screaming that Arizona State shouldn't be in it, that SMU shouldn't be in it, that Boise shouldn't be in it, that Indiana should be, and it should have been Alabama and South Carolina. But I'm sorry, Alabama lost to Oklahoma by a lot.
Yeah, they didn't deserve it. And
they don't deserve to
I'm going to tell you the way, and even when you look at like in the past with the 4 teams and the bowl games and stuff, they're college kids, and there's a rhythm to playing sports. And when they have these big breaks, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you, I feel bad honestly, for Arizona State and Boise. They've been sitting for a long time without playing, and it's hard. I mean, that's it. Anytime you have a gap like that, the week, maybe it's a week, it's okay. But some of these guys have been sitting for a while, and hitting each other, and it's almost like the first game of the season again, going against a team. We're huge Texas fans, but they're going against a Texas team that just had a pretty tough game and had to go in there and win. And those guys are only they're ready to roll. Even though I think it is they still have another week to go, right? They don't play this week. They play
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
No, good God.
Yeah, about a week away, right?
It's crazy. Crazy.
We record on Monday, so a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. But no, they you know what? They won the games they were supposed to win. Indiana especially. I know people are talking shit about it already, but that was their schedule, and they blew a lot of people away. And what are you going to say?
I would argue that Indiana game came down to a coaching choice.
Yeah, God, I tell you,
bad choice. Why punt it there?
I got to tell you, he was not aggressive. He wasn't aggressive. Which surprises me. He was not. For a guy, I like him. He talks a lot of shit, but
talked a lot of shit.
His coaching, he was not aggressive enough. I mean, you got to go for it in those games, and you can't. He was punting, and he made some bad moves, but I'm sure he regrets. I mean, it's whatever. It's a coaching thing, but
honestly, I think that coach is going to attract players. I know it's Indiana, but he will attract players. He will field teams that from time to time make this run.
Yeah.
I think he's a good enough coach to do that. I think he had a bit of deer in the headlights look when he looked up at this. That stadium atmosphere was unbelievable at Notre Dame. That was crazy.
But and I've been telling you, Notre Dame is badass, man. They have got a freaking good team. I don't,
do.
Everybody keeps like thinking Notre Dame is like the old Notre. They're not the same Notre Dame team that's kind of barely gotten into the CFP before. These guys are freaking good. It's going to be a good game between them and Georgia.
It is going to be a very good game for sure. All right, so I would like to just take a couple minutes about each one of these games we did see.
Yeah.
Just kind of see, we talked a little bit about Notre Dame there, but Riley Leonard looked very, very good. What really looked good is their secondary. Their secondary looked very good. Now, the question is, Indiana couldn't run the ball, but Indiana doesn't have the horses up front that Georgia does. Is Georgia going to be able to beat them down? like they did against Texas, right, with the ball,
Yeah.
running the ball.
I'll tell you, Notre Dame has a big athletic and physical team. I mean, Georgia's going to break some runs. I think it's going to come down to, so let's say, so Riley Leonard. So number one, he can play and he can use his legs when he needs to. And he's a smart player. I think it's going to come down to how that quarterback at Georgia does. He came in against Texas. That's a whole different thing now. He's had some time, and the other teams have had time now to scout him too.
Yeah.
And he plays a different brand of ball. I think Notre Dame's going to, personally, I think Notre Dame's going to take him. Carson Beck made a lot of mistakes when he played, but he was still Carson Beck. And when he needed to, he friggin' made throws. I don't know if this kid's going to be, maybe he can, I don't know, but that's kind of a tough situation. I think Notre Dame takes that one. I think they're physical enough to play with Georgia.
As big of a smartass as Kirby Smart is, it's hard to bet against him in these games.
It is. But he's good. But you're with a new quarterback. He's a good coach. But I'm telling you, Notre Dame is a physical team, man. They can hang up front. They have some friggin' gigantoids up front.
Yeah, they do.
They can hang.
Big boys.
They do. So they can hang with them.
That'll be a fun game. I think Notre Dame just looked like they belonged in the upper echelon of teams in that game. Now, we get it that Indiana's not going to have the same horses, right? So was it just kind of an out-talented thing? We're going to find out this next game for sure. But, man, they did look they look very scary right now, and they're clicking.
They're good. They have a good team. That's going to be I think out of all the games well, there's some other good ones, but I think that's going to be a really, really good game. I think both teams are big and physical. I think Georgia has some areas that can be exploited. I think Texas exploited them and some of them. I really do think Notre Dame's going to beat them this time.
Yeah. Just take shots downfield and a running quarterback. I think it's going to be a tight game. Yeah. The line is 1.5 right now on that.
And but obviously I think all these games will probably be pretty tight, but that one I think will be tight. I'm still not sold on Georgia. I know they beat Texas twice. And I think Notre Dame is a lot like Texas. They have a lot of physical guys. If they can make some plays, maybe that Texas kind of made some mistakes at, I think they can win.
Yeah. I mean, that SEC title game was just, those guys were hitting the shit out of each
other. It's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. All right. Jump into the next review and preview there. Penn State taking down SMU. Penn State's defense is legit. They are very good. That offense needs to figure some shit out.
There was I got to tell you, I mean, I know, so you look at the score 38-10. Penn State's offense, they absolutely sucked in the first half. I mean, and Aller made some really horrible, I mean, good God, right in the beginning of the game, he's kind of rolling out. He's got pressure on him. There's a friggin' receiver wide open, kind of just waiting, and he never throws it. I'm like, you're looking. I didn't even understand it. I'm like, what are you doing? They got to figure it out, or they're going to get rolled because they have a good defense. Genty's he's gonna get his runs in. I will say this though, I have not watched Boise play, so I don't know what kind of like defense they have, or outside of the running game what they have, but. Penn State's they need to step it up on offense. They have a great defense, but their offense sucked.
Yeah, the offense is the problem. But I think Penn State's going to win that game. I just think that defense, you have to make the quarterback beat you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that quarterback at Boise is going to beat Penn State's linebackers in second. Those linebackers are just as fast and just as physical as Genty. They're going to stuff him in the middle. He's going to get his runs, but he's not going to break that long one. They're going to make him earn every single yard.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's going to. I will say this: I don't think it's going to be a blowout just because, it could be if Penn State fixes the offense, but man. If it's not even like fix the offense, it's fix the plays, fix the decisions.
Fix James Franklin.
I know the decisions suck, man.
I know. He was making some crazy. We had a medium G send a text said, "Don't worry, James Franklin will keep SMU in this game," and they did for
I
a
know,
while,
I
right?
know. It's just like some of the shit's like, dude, do you realize you're in the freaking playoffs? This isn't. I
Right.
mean, come on.
Like that fourth down, he goes for it in his own area.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
just for no reason. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously it turned out in his favor at the end, but
Well,
no
the
reason
defense
to do
bailed
that.
him.
Yeah, stupid, stupid.
That was.
Yeah.
I don't know if they win. They have the talent to win a national championship. Besides wide receivers, someone needs to step up in that room. But other than that, goddamn coaching mistakes are going to be the problem for Penn
Coaching
State.
mistakes. I agree 100%. I think that's we talked about Indiana. That kind of was, and I got to give him a little bit of a bye because he's stepping up with the big boys, and he looked a little. I'm going to tell you, as much shit as he talked, the Signetti looked a little flustered and
Oh yeah,
like he like what the hell's going on kind of thing.
yeah.
And I felt like I said, hey, you're playing with the big boys now. You gotta fix it. But he'll get that fixed. But Penn State, he's been there forever. Come on, man.
He's been there for a long
And
time
he plays in big games every
and
year, and he should know better. That was you're right.
loses them.
That
He
fourth
loses
down
them
was
though.
the absolutely. I'm watching. I was like, do you realize this is a college? I mean, if you give them momentum, that could
You're
change the
done.
game.
You're done.
And
If you shut up that crowd and Jennings can hear,
yeah,
that the crowd played a huge part in that win. If
yeah, I
Jennings
agree.
can hear, he's going to make plays. He just couldn't hear anything. They couldn't hear the snap, and it kind of bit him in the ass. But I mean, man, Penn State goes through. I think they beat Boise State, but I think it doesn't matter if it's Notre Dame or Georgia.
Oh, it's
If
over.
James Franklin does James Franklin things, that game's over.
I just don't think. I think defensively they can hang with the other teams. I just don't think offensively they can hang with Notre Dame or Georgia. That's my guess. I don't. I I think defensively they have a pretty strong team, but you're not going to hold any. You wouldn't hold Notre Dame or Georgia like to 3 points or 7 points. I mean, they're going to score. They're going to get their scores, and the problem is going to be
Yeah.
Penn State having to try to score and outscore them. I don't think it's going to happen either.
No, I'm with you there. Okay, next one here. Let's jump to the Texas Clemson one because that last game, there's a lot to talk about that Tennessee and Ohio State game. The Texas Clemson game um, was really, man, Texas looked hot that first half. And then they kind of just got lackadaisical again the third quarter and then turned it on again. I mean, they just out talented Clemson. The run game was ridiculous for Texas this game, and I'd love to see that kind of stay going there. Jaden Blue looked really good, but
Yeah.
where do you see the problems coming up? I mean, Arizona State's Arizona State. They could beat them, right? But the feeling is Texas going to win that game. Ohio State and Oregon look really goddamn good, both those teams. Like, where does Texas need to fix after that game?
Well, Texas did. So the quarterback for Clemson he threw the ball all around the field. I give him a lot of credit, man. He drove him up and down the field pretty easily. Well, I was surprised that because Texas, I think they have the number one defense, and they were, the line saved them a bunch by getting some sacks. But to me, I mean, I don't know what happened. They were literally blowing them out, and then it was like, holy crap, you're only up by one score. And then Blue gets he gets the long run. But that was a lot. I mean, here's the thing that's funny to me. I was reading like about all four games, and they're saying all four games are blowouts. I'm sorry, dude. That was not a blowout at Clemson. Clemson was in that game to the end. I mean, there was no blowout there by Texas.
14 points.
I know, but it was 7 points for a long time. I mean, they would go up 14, then it was 7. So they didn't like get it and then run with it. So I thought Clemson. Look, Dabo, you got to give him credit, man. He had the guys ready to play. I thought they played well. I think Texas is going to have. Texas has had in the past issues with guys that can run, and Arizona State's got a good running back. And I don't think outside of that they're going to do much. But
I think they have a problem with running quarterbacks, not running running backs. I think they have a problem with scrambling quarterbacks.
And I don't.
I think if they're
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, you might be right, but they do tend to give up some runs. I mean,
They can.
they can. Now, the
They can.
problem is, I just think you're looking at like personnel. Friggin' Texas, those guys, the defensive guys are, they're an extremely physical team, and I think that's the issue that Arizona State's going to have. I think they're coming from the West Coast. I know they're in the Big 12. They're coming from the West Coast, and I just don't think they have those kind of guys that and play those kind of games. I don't see them. I think Texas wins honestly pretty handily on this one. I think some of the other games are going to be closer, but I just don't see this one being that close.
Yeah. It's a 14-point spread right now for Texas. Texas
Yeah.
minus 14.
That's pretty ridiculous in a friggin' college football playoff, just FYI.
Right. But we've talked about it all year long how Arizona State deserves to be there. They deserve the spot they got.
They do.
They played extremely well all year. But there is a talent difference between the Big 12 and what Texas played.
It's a huge talent difference. And I think that's what happened with Clemson. I mean, Clemson actually, I'll say I was impressed. I thought Clemson played well, but they just didn't have, they did not have the guys to keep up with Texas. Arizona State, I think, is going to be, in my opinion, is probably a step down from Clemson, to be honest with you.
I do too. I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I am with you on that.
I think as long as Texas doesn't make mistakes, now sometimes they start fumbling and throwing interceptions. That could change the game. But if they stick to the game, I think they're going to do just fine.
Texas had a chance to put up like 50 on Clemson. They kind of shot themselves in the foot a few times this game.
They did.
And another factor to this is not necessarily talent, but there's 4 guys starting for Arizona State that pretty much were told you can't play here at Texas anymore. They transferred from Texas to Arizona State.
Okay.
I mean, that's motivation, right? So motivation can only get you so far if you're going up against just like Kelvin Banks Jr., who's massive and physical.
Yeah. But I told you before, I was more concerned with Clemson. I thought Clemson was, if anybody, out of those teams, I thought they could possibly upset you. And, if Texas didn't do what they did, Clemson was close enough that if there were some more mistakes, it could have gone, it could have been an uglier game. But I just don't see that with Arizona State. I don't see them, I got to be honest, I don't see them hanging at all. I think the defense is going to shut them down. I think Arizona State doesn't score a lot of points. And I think Texas kind of blows them out of there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Texas beats them pretty well, but I don't think the committee giving Arizona State that spot is a mistake, though.
No, absolutely
the realm of this. Well, everybody's conversation about this is going to be.
Yeah,
we all know it after the game, but the way that they structured the college football playoff, Arizona State did enough to earn the spot they're at.
Yep.
And they should be playing where they're at. So
no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it has nothing. I mean, they could have. I agree 100%. I think they agree. They all these teams deserve to be where they're at, regardless of how the scores end up. Every year it's like that. There's always, when they had 4, like you said, there was a blowout or two. You're not going to fix that. It's college kids playing.
No.
And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. So hopefully we just don't have to hear about this crap too much longer. I mean, the teams that you're going to see, like Ohio State, Texas, those teams are going to keep winning. And they're going to move forward. And it's going to end up being the 14 playoff anyways. It's just kind of more pageantry at this point. But there's teams that deserve to be there over some of those SEC teams with 3 losses. My God, 3 losses. Like, you lost 3 times this year. If you're crying and there's one coach that's all over Twitter constantly, win the damn games.
Yeah.
Win.
And nobody wants to see Big Ten SEC games in the friggin' playoffs. No. I'm sorry. I want to see. No. I want to see these other teams to see. You know what? Give them a shot. The thing is, so if you look at like Indiana, so they went through. I'm sure that coach says, okay, for us now to we got here. If we want to compete, we need X. And if you look at SMU, you know what? We had a great year, but if we want to get to the next, I mean, you don't get that. You don't know that until you play a team like a Penn State or Notre Dame or, I mean, that's just part of it is what it is. But now they'll be able to recruit, I'm sure, a little better because they made it. So good for them, man.
Well, look at
I'm happy.
talking about SMU. You want to talk about a team that could turn around fast? The amount of money that school has, they could get probably anybody they want that's willing to go somewhere for money. SMU is going to be very good for quite a while because of that. So and Rhett Lashley is a great coach. They're going to be able to pay players to get there. I mean, look at the Pony Express, right? They were paying a shit ton of money back then. Now they can do it in the open and laugh about it. So SMU is going to be good, and they're going to be good quick. They made a weird deal to get in the ACC, but all right, let's talk about this last game here. And I wanted to save this one for last because I do think what we saw on that field was the best team in the nation that day. That Ohio State team looked unbelievable.
That I would agree. They look. I will say this. They you know, because what happened to Tennessee is it was one of those where they just got behind real fast. It was like when Texas got jumped the first time they played Georgia, right? Yeah. And Georgia jumped out, and then it gets to the point where then it's just like, shit, that's going to be tough. It was a huge crowd, freezing cold, and Ohio State looked really, really good.
It was a huge crowd, but 40,000 of those were Tennessee.
It was Tennessee, but I mean they were tough, man. Ohio State. They look, and their quarterback was just friggin'. He was throwing dimes. I mean, those passes in the end zone they could not have been better. So It all came together for him. I mean, I whether they can do that again, I don't know. I thought Tennessee was a good team, but they were outmanned by a lot at Ohio State.
By a lot, it was surprising to see because Tennessee had a good defense this year, and their running back got hurt quick, right? He was out of the game, but still, they have a good run game. They didn't use the QB run quite as much as they probably should. I think Nico took that hit early and it cracked his helmet, and I think it kind of scared off everybody, and that was kind of crazy. But man, Ohio State, that they looked. Now, how much of that is Heupel play calling bad? I mean, some of them was like, you're right. They got behind quick and they just had to throw. And you knew that they were throwing, so it was just go get them. But man, they looked really friggin' good. How pissed off would you be as an Ohio State fan if you just watched that team play that game and 2 weeks earlier you shit the bed against a very middle of the road Michigan team?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So he had, he had them ready to play, and it was a home game. These next games are not home games, so
they're not.
Number one, that and it's out west. They're playing in the Rose Bowl against Oregon, so different, whole different deal. But yeah, I agree with you. Out of all the teams that played, they were pretty friggin' dominant there in that game. Even though the other scores look better, maybe. That was a pretty big score.
No,
but I mean,
that's the biggest score.
They were the most dominant. That performance was dominant. But now they go and play Oregon, and I'm Mr. No Oregon, but I think Oregon beats them.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. We saw it with Penn State. We just watched Penn State against SMU, and they struggled offensively against SMU. Penn State kind of lit up Oregon in that Big Ten title game. Oregon's just got a lot of horses on the offense that, I mean, they can just go outscore everybody. But Ohio State has some really good defense. So, I mean, they played once before. What was it, 41-42?
Yeah,
or something like that.
It came down to
really high scoring,
clock mismanagement, high scoring game. But you know what? Ohio State has to play that same game they just played again, and that's hard, man. That's a tough one. Out of all the teams that are playing this week or this next time, I mean, Notre Dame, Georgia is a tough game, but that's a hard game right there. Ohio State, Oregon. I think.
Oh yeah.
And I think, like I said, they're not playing at home. Which I think kind of maybe favors Oregon a little bit. I think Oregon beats them.
So right now that spread is a -2 for Ohio State. They're giving Ohio State the 2 points.
They are.
All right, they're giving Oregon 2 points right now.
Yeah.
I would be pretty pissed. Dan Lanning, knowing him, they are looking at that every single day.
Oh, they are,
Um,
and the thing is, they've already played each other, so he already know. Like you're talking about, he already knows what Ohio State has, and
mhm.
now he can adjust. He can just watch them play again. Oregon has a lot of speed, man. I don't see that. I still don't think they win the national championship, but they have an enormous amount of speed on offense and they have a great quarterback. So I think they win this one.
All right. Okay. Well, okay. So we'll jump to that, right? So you're going Oregon over Ohio State there.
I
Are you
am.
covering the spread, 2-point spread? I mean, you kind of have to.
Yeah, I think
Not gonna be like a
they.
1-point
No,
game.
I don't think it's a 1 point game. I think it's close. I think they beat them maybe by a touchdown, 4 points or a touchdown, something like that.
Okay. So you're going Oregon. Let's go ahead. Texas, Arizona State. You feel good about Texas?
Yep, absolutely.
If you had to do the spread, would you lay it on Texas at
I
14
would.
points?
I think 14. I think they're going to beat them by more than 14. I think, like I said, I think Clemson was a better team than Arizona State. So
I think Texas defense is going to be dominant.
yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't see Arizona State scoring a lot. To be honest with you.
All right. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. All right. Penn State, Boise State,
I
10
got
and a half.
I got Penn State, but I don't have them covering 10.5.
I'm with you on that too. Wow, we never
I know.
agree on these things. I'm with you on that. I don't Boise State's offense is good enough to keep that game tight. Like 7 to 10 point.
And Penn State's offense is. I'm not even going to say suck because they don't suck, but just the whole scheme is enough to not allow me to give them 10.5 points.
Right. Right. It all is going to go by how Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton are going.
Yep.
Those two guys, if they're running, game over. If they're not running, it's going to be a long night.
It is going to be long.
All right, last one. Notre Dame, Georgia, 1.5.
I got Notre Dame winning this one. I think Notre
Georgia's
Dame
getting 1.5.
wins. I'm going to say Notre Dame is going to win by. I think they win by a touchdown.
I don't. Georgia's going to win on a field goal.
Ah, okay. We
I got
disagree on
Georgia.
that one. I got Notre Dame.
I've seen Kirby Smart twice this year again in big games. He is very good at scheming, and he's very good at capturing momentum. Right?
We'll see.
I think Georgia beats them. I
Notre
just have
Dame's,
Georgia beat.
Notre Dame is tough, man. They got a good team. I think Notre Dame beats them.
But they're not at home, and it's at the Sugar Bowl.
I know where it's at, but I get it. I still, if Carson Beck was playing, I would probably go with Georgia, but I just don't. I think with a replacement quarterback, I don't see them. I don't think he hasn't seen them. Notre Dame's got a great defense, and I know he played Texas, but that was a whole different thing. That was like Texas schemed for one quarterback, had to try and figure out how to adjust. This is a whole different thing. I don't see them. I don't see it. I think Notre Dame beats them.
All right. All right, there's our answers. Tune in next week when we cover. I guess it won't be next
No,
week.
it won't be next week. No, it'll have to be the week after.
You know what? We got to get the gang on next week to talk about this.
We do. Sure. We'll have them all in person. We'll do it in person.
Let's do that in person. All right. Are you segue musicking that I can't hear? Come on, give it to me.
No, I actually wanted to say one more thing. Here's the thing I think they should change about this. I agree with like the teams that are in there. I do believe, though, they should do away with the buys and allow these teams, you know what, let Boise play at home, let Oregon play at home, let Arizona, because honestly, it's a disadvantage to them. I get they got a buy. That's all on paper. To me, maybe you add 2 more teams so you can have it, but I think that whole playing at home thing was pretty awesome. And I think that those 3 teams, even though they jumped into the next round, I think they missed out on a huge opportunity for those kids to be able to play in front of their home crowd in a CFP. So if they could change one thing, that would be it. Not who's in it. I guess maybe add 2 more teams. Maybe that would shut everybody up. But I don't like the buys. I think they should all be playing in the first round.
I don't see them expanding out more right now. I agree they need to change, but I think they need to change the buy system. I think that buy is, I get where you're coming from. They're sitting too long and they have the opportunity to play. But think about injuries, right? I mean, Texas lost 2 offensive linemen. They lost their center and their tackle this game. They wouldn't have lost them if they had that buy. I do think that they need to get rid of the conference champions being the bye, and they need to just give the bye to the top 4 teams. With that, though, they need to have tangible things. It can't just be up to some people sitting in a room. Like, there needs to be something else determining the top. Because if it's just people, they're going to pick brands. It's human nature, right? You're going to gravitate towards a brand. Texas is a brand. Alabama's a brand. That's why everybody's having this conversation. If Alabama was in this playoff, they'd get crushed. They would get smoked.
They would have got smoked by these teams.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just a brand. So I do think that they need to find a way to make it a little less biased. And I do think the top 4 should get the bye. Notre Dame does.
Then let them play it. Then let them play it. You know what? I know they have money tied up with the bowl games. So what if they had the bye, but then they play home games, and then the next round they start playing. That way you give you give those teams an opportunity to play at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I just thought it was pretty cool for the teams that actually had the option. They, even though all the home teams won, but I think it was pretty cool that they were able to play at home. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I thought that was like, I've never seen college football atmospheres like that before. That Notre Dame atmosphere looked rowdy. That Penn State atmosphere was unbelievable. That whiteout was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's great. And then look at the bowl games. It's a peak. They're all no, and it's cool to see the weather, but there's literally no weather in bowl games. I mean, they're either in a dome or
right, and you don't have too many students there. Right? Because they can't afford those tickets. So
that would be my one change. That would be my one change. Is kind of take a look at that. I'm good with who got in. So all right,
yeah, 100%. And also, everybody that's saying scrap it are idiots. This is the first year. Yeah. Don't scrap the whole thing. Just tweak it. The small tweaks. Scrapping the whole playoff and starting over, that's dumb. That's so dumb.
Oh, and it's easy to say teams that didn't make it were going to come in and do anything. Those teams that didn't make it could have gotten in and come in and got freaking crushed too. So that's a bullshit argument. I don't like it.
Yeah, the one team that didn't make it that I think could have made some noise was South Carolina.
I think so, because they were playing really good at the end, but they screwed themselves in the beginning. I agree with it. I thought they were, out of all the teams, were probably the strongest at the end. But you know what? You got to win. You can't lose 3 games.
So. Yeah, you got to win the game. Football's not played on paper.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have physically more talented people than Arizona State. You didn't win as many games as Arizona State.
No,
they won their conference.
I agree.
Clemson won their friggin' conference. They're gonna get in. I mean, it's just. The arguments are ridiculous right now, and it's hard to kind of see the state of that side of college football when college football is so it's better than it's ever been, but also worse than it's ever been at the same time right now. So
I agree. There's some stuff to fix, but I think overall, I think it's it's they're fun to watch. I mean, regardless of the scores. So,
all right,
are we transitioning?
I think you're transitioning, my friend. Oh. I love how we have to tell people that because I can't hear the music.
I know. Here we go. Well, I'm going to sing it for you. All right, we're transitioned. Where are we going?
I don't know. I don't know what I just listened to, though.
Did you hear it?
I mean, I heard you.
Oh, damn it. All right.
All right. Okay. What the hell is going on in Philadelphia, my friend?
Why? What happened?
That they collapsed against Washington, man.
They did. And they're going to say, okay, so I know Boomer's not on, so I'm going to talk some shit about him, but they're going to say they lost Jalen Hurts. But you know what? Their defense was supposed to be their elite defense, and they gave up a shitload of points. And they gave up a friggin' rookie driving down at the end of the game. So you know what? That's a lot of points to give up. And even if Hurts is in the game, that's still a lot of points to give up, man.
Yeah. The drop pass for the win, that hurts.
Yep.
That was brutal.
Yep.
They just looked like not good. Hurts went down and they looked like they didn't know what to do.
Yeah. And then Pickett got I guess he got hurt there a little bit too at the end, but Um, God, he didn't. I'll say he didn't look like horrible. But I looked at his stats. I go, shit, he threw for like 100 and some yards. It looked like he was making throws, and I was like, he hasn't really done much, but he looked okay. He wasn't horrible, but I don't know what's going on, but I'm loving it, man. I'm loving
I know
it.
you are.
I think they might even play the Giants. They may play the Giants next week. Holy crap, the Giants are a friggin' train wreck.
They're hard to talk about, my friend.
God. But yeah, I was happy with the Eagles. Sorry, Boomer. I'm happy to see the Eagles go down, baby.
Yeah, I think I just can't put my finger on it. Some days they look like the best team, like nobody's gonna beat them, and then they turn around and do that. The defense looked awful.
I'm gonna say so even losing their quarterback, they still put up 33 points. I guess is my point. It's not like it was 10-7. They gave up they put up 33, which come on, 33 in the NFL, you should be winning the game. But they gave up 36. So their defense is what let them down. Not they're going to blame it on we didn't have the quarterback, but that's not what lost the game for them. They got beat on defense. Their defense sucked. Happily.
Their defense looked really bad. They looked really bad. All right, let's stay in that division here. What happened with the Buccaneers there? Cowboys kind of roughed them up a bit there. And then Baker threw that last pick, which was an amazing pick. But I don't know, the Bucs didn't look that good.
So no, they didn't look, unfortunately. And they kind of screwed themselves now that Atlanta jumped in there. But I will say the turnovers Baker threw that ball to the end zone. That receiver should have had the ball. He let that defensive dude take it right out of his hands. And that killed him. And then on the final drive, he was driving him down and friggin' guy fumbles. So, I mean, you can't have all those turnovers. I like Baker. I thought he did good, but they're in trouble now, man. The only thing that may save them is I think they have I think they play Carolina and New Orleans for the last 2 games. And Atlanta, I think, plays Carolina and they play somebody else. So it's going to come down to that. But man, that was shitty. But I will say, friggin' Dallas' defense looked like monsters out there, man.
They look like Dallas' defense.
They look good, and the quarterback makes plays. So I'm curious. Now they're watching this, right? And Cooper Rush, he's making plays. And then you got like a guy you just signed for $1 bazillion. I don't know. What's that mean? Doesn't mean anything because they can't there's nothing they're going to do. They're already locked in with Dak, but
they're locked in.
But I'm sure I'm sure the owner is probably going, what in the hell, man? I could have just had this dude and got some wins. But the defense, I will say, the defense looked good, man. They were all over Baker Mayfield. I mean,
they looked really good.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue, I think.
It was surprising.
It was. And then I'm going to switch you over to my New York Jets. Funguli. What in the hell is going on?
Bad.
Fungu, New York Jets, huh?
Well, come on.
Bada bing, bada bang.
He's got a new cool show on Netflix, and he's getting into fights with Ryan Clark about being vaxxed or whatever the hell. This dude will talk about anything but football.
And you know what? You know what? I tried, God bless me, I tried to watch a little bit of it because I wanted to kind of see it. But he does not throw the ball to anybody but Devontae Adams. He doesn't. I mean, it's so obvious. And I if I'm like Garrett and those guys, I think he's already saying, I want the hell out of here. Because, he's the guy. And then they bring in Adams and he does literally, the dude doesn't throw the ball to anybody else. It's like, holy shit. And they score 9 friggin' points. Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
How angry are you if you're Breece Hall, like ruining like the prime of your career right now? Garrett Wilson, I would get out of there the minute my contract's up.
Well, I mean, yeah, and they're sitting at 4 wins, so they're not like the bottom of the barrel as far as picks. I mean, there's some shitty teams out there.
There's some really shitty teams out there.
But they got to. I mean, I know there's a lot of teams that have less wins, But number one, they got to jettison friggin' Rodgers. He's got to be done. And then I don't know what their plan is. They got to, you know what they may do? I can see them doing this, is getting the friggin' guy in Minnesota, Darnold.
Yeah.
He's not their long-term guy, even though he's had a great season. He's not going in next year as QB1.
Don't put him in that market. If I was Darnold, I'd say no. I want to go to that market. Go to a smaller market where you're like comfortable, right?
No, I agree, but you know they're going to do some stupid ass thing like that, or they could sign Kirk Cousins because Kirk's done. Obviously,
what the hell happened to Kirk Cousins?
He's done.
Shit! He forgot how to play football or something. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, boy, it went quick, didn't it? It went from bench to, I mean, it went quick. It went quick. His demise.
Quick. Yeah, and Penix looked very good.
Penix looked good, but it's friggin' okay. It was the Giants.
It's the Giants.
I'm just sorry. I mean, I thought he looked good, and that was probably the right game to start him in. The Giants are friggin' bad, though. I mean, all the way around.
Yeah, they're bad. I don't know who's worse, the Giants or the friggin' Raiders.
The Giants, because the Raiders won, so they got 3 wins now. So
I don't care about the wins. I care about who's worse.
I'm just saying the Raiders are bad, but the Giants they're horrific, man. What they need to do is, which I don't think is going to be an issue, is just they need to be done and not win any more games, and they'll get the first pick, or they're going to come up with the first or second. But I don't, I'm not enamored with any of the quarterbacks coming out this year, so I'm not even sure that that's the greatest thing to happen in the world either. So we'll see.
I think you have a lot of quarterback. I mean, Dylan Gabriel.
I would pick him over who they say is the top quarterbacks over Cam Ward and Shedeur. I would pick like somebody like Dylan Gabriel over them. But
we'll see. Pro days always change all that stuff. Combine always change. And they friggin' measuring hands and stuff. But I mean, I think Shedeur ends up being the first pick.
I just don't see him as a franchise quarterback.
No. No, I'm with you. There's too much outside of football that surrounds him too. Yeah. And in a market like New York, that gets magnified and blown up, and it's going to be bad.
I think Shedeur goes to
Vegas.
I think he goes to Vegas. If I'm the Giants, and they've already made it really clear he doesn't really want. He made it very clear, and his dad's made it clear they don't want him playing anywhere but Vegas. And Vegas is going to be right there with one of the friggin' picks. I think he would fit in perfect in Vegas. To be honest with you, that's where he needs to be.
I'd pick him and ask for a trade.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't see the Giants improving unless they trade for a quarterback.
I don't. They need more than a quarterback.
They need a lot. They're going to suck. They're going to suck for a long time. The Jets actually. I will say this for the Jets. They actually have a pretty good defense, and they have some good skill players. They actually do just need. I mean, not just, but they need a quarterback.
Quarterback and a line.
And I don't know, who that quarterback is. I don't think they probably don't want to go there. And you don't know who the coach is. So they're going to get a new coach. Maybe that determines it, right? They get a coach come in. I don't even know who's out there rolling around, but I'd like to see, what's his name, go back. The hell was the guy who used to be the Jets coach?
Rex Ryan?
Yeah. I think that's what they need. They need some asshole like him to go back because he's a New York. He can deal with New York. He's that kind of guy.
Here's my hot prediction on what the Jets are going to do. They're going to take a college coach.
Oh God, that's the last thing they need.
They're going to take a college coach like Ryan Day or somebody that's feeling the pressure and doesn't want it anymore. They're going to go with that. I just feel like that's the perfect franchise to make a move like that, and then it backfires.
They may, but their owner is such a friggin' he's so horrible. I don't know anybody who would want to work for the dude. I mean, obviously the money, but the owner's bad, man. And he's just very outspoken. He's just a dick. So I don't know. I think Rex Ryan is about the only one that could probably deal with him, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think you can be too nice. You got to kind of be outspoken to deal with that guy.
Yeah, Does he bring Buddy Ryan to be the defensive coach?
Oh, my God. Now he brings his brother. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I like it. Those two guys, hey, give them a couple years. They'll slap them into shape. Oh God, I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know. It's
they're gonna
like
suck for a long time. Giants are going to
both
suck
of
for a
them.
long time.
It's a
They're
black
not.
hole in New York. What the hell's going on with football in New York, man?
I don't know. They're horrible, man. And how about let's talk about real quick the friggin' 49ers. They're eliminated.
Gone. Yeah, eliminated after this past weekend. Same with the damn Cardinals lost.
Oh my God, the Cardinals lost in overtime to Carolina
for a shot to keep playing for the playoffs.
I mean, I gotta say, I thought Arizona had a shot there earlier in the season. They had a little hiccup, but good God, you can't lose to Carolina. I mean,
you can't lose to Carolina
in overtime. And I thought Arizona had a better defense. They gave up like 36 points or some shit. And
yeah, that was bad.
I know. I feel bad because I don't even know why. I was never a Kyler Murray guy, but I'm kind of come around to I like to see him do okay. I'd like to see Arizona do okay, but they consistently suck. No.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm happy seeing Kyler suck.
I know you are. It's actually inexplainable why I'm like rooting for the guy. I don't even understand it myself because he's not usually the kind of guy I root for. But right. I don't know. Whatever.
All right, back to San Francisco.
Yes.
What? It's hard to even. What is the fix? Do you think it's just a down year? Guys are just hurt.
I do.
Do you think there's an actual fix that they need?
I think it's older. I think it's a down year. I just think they've had too many injuries. And Purdy, you know what? So it's great. I get a kick out of when they're winning. Purdy's the best quarterback that ever. Oh my God! And then they are not winning anymore. So now he's dude, he's still really good.
He's very good.
I just don't. I think they've had a lot of injuries. They make some stupid ass mistakes. But I just when these teams start knowing they're eliminated too, I think it's human nature. I will say the Dallas Cowboys didn't, but I think a lot of these guys they
throw in the towelish type thing.
Yeah, sort of, kind of, maybe. And I think San Francisco, I think it's one down year. I think they're back next year. I think they get shit fixed. And that guy's too good of a coach out there.
He's a great coach.
Yeah.
Great coach. There's a lot of talent there. I think losing Ayuk hurt. Debo has not been Debo Samuel this year. The running backs have been, that whole situation been bad, and Purdy has not much to work with. People are giving Purdy shit, but what are you supposed to do?
He's a good quarterback.
Guy's running for his life half the time.
He's a good quarterback, makes good throw. I mean, he's fine. I think they fixed it. To me, that if I'm their fan, it's a down year. Next year, I think they're fine and come back. I mean, I don't see that team's not going to be like this next year.
No. And then on the flip side of the NFC West, how about those Rams?
They came out of nowhere.
Winning.
Came out of nowhere, man.
They just keep winning close games.
I got to say this, though. They're going to make the playoffs, but good God, they're not that good. They're not. They're really, I mean, they snuck past the friggin' Jets.
Yeah.
They've made some, I will say, I think they went and beat Buffalo, so they can win, but I don't know, man. They're going to get in. I would be absolutely shocked if they win a game in the playoffs. I just don't see that. But good. Hey, hats off to them because they were pretty much written off earlier in the year.
Yeah. I wrote them off almost a few weeks in. They were really bad at the start of the year, and they kind of figured out they're using that they have a lot of fast receivers, and they're using that quick play as a run game, kind of that college style extended run game where they're, instead of just handing off, they're throwing quick screens or just short outs, things like that to get. And no team has stepped up. I mean, how do you beat that? You step up and you press them. If you press them, Nakua's going over the top. So I think they have, if McVay is a good enough coach to keep them in every game they're going to play, I just don't know if talent-wise they have the roster to match up with the Buffaloes, the Minnesotas, the Kansas Cities, those teams.
I mean, I don't think they do. But, NFL, there's not that big of a difference in some of these teams. So I mean, they could, but I mean, they've won 4 in a row. They're definitely in a position to win. Seattle's right behind them, and Seattle's another team that, from week to week, you never know what you're getting.
Right.
I don't see them as like a huge strong team, but they're not bad. But
No, that division kind of sucks, though.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're gonna see on that one.
Yeah. All right. We have a very tight race for the NFC North right now. With the Eagles, with Detroit kind of reeling because defense, they've lost a lot to injury this year.
Yep.
And Minnesota just keeps winning. They
do. And Green Bay's got a good team.
Green Bay makes the playoffs, right?
I think so.
That
yeah.
way too?
Yep.
But they're 10-4. I don't see how they wouldn't get at least a wild card spot there.
Yep.
Hell, they could make a run and win the division at this point.
Minnesota doesn't lose. You know what?
They don't lose.
It's and you watch them play, and it's like, but they're 13-2. It's like shit.
They don't lose. Their defense is amazing.
They do have a good team. I don't know.
Who wins that division?
Well, I think the Lions do. The Lions have. I don't know how many more people they can lose, though, man.
They can't lose anybody.
They've literally lost. I mean, that's a hell of a job coaching and guys stepping up, because they've lost a massive amount of players. I mean, they've lost running backs and defensive ends and defense, but they just still pretty much crushed Chicago. Now Chicago's not a very good team, but I mean, they still put points up, though. I mean, Jared Goff he's having a hell of a year.
I mean, if any other year, if Josh Allen wasn't having the year Josh Allen was having, Jared Goff probably front runner to win the MVP.
I would think he's definitely in the top, conversation there. The thing they still have Jahmyr Gibbs. They still have their, they have great wide receivers. So
yeah, they have that throw to Jameson Williams, that 80-yard whatever. That was unbelievable. That guy is so fast.
Yeah, they to me, how I don't know how it ends. I mean, I haven't looked at the schedule on who they play in the remainder of the year, but I can look here. So they play
the Niners and then the Vikings. That Vikings game could be who wins the division.
Yeah, that could be. Because I think they beat the Niners. I just don't think the Niners have the horses, but I think the Minnesota game might be the one. Minnesota, who do they have?
Minnesota has to get by the Packers,
which is going to be a tough game for them.
It is, and then the Lions. But every tough game, they have won every tough game. They've been so good this year. The losses they have is the Rams, which was kind of like an outlier. They had some injuries, and then the Lions, and it was a 2-point game.
Yeah.
So, man, that last game of the year is huge. I think Minnesota gets by the Packers because it's a home game.
Yeah, they could.
Lambeau and it was 2 degrees.
I
would think different, but it's a home game.
Detroit's playing pretty darn good, though, man. That's gonna be a great game at the end of the year. I think that might, like you said, determine who gets in that division. I mean, they're all in, obviously, but who wins it?
Yeah, I mean, who gets the bye at that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so going division by division, I agree. That's a huge game. That's probably the biggest game left of the year. AFC East, Buffalo's kind of running away with it. Miami still has a chance to make the playoffs, but I think it's pretty slim.
They are. So Buffalo did the same crap they do every year this last weekend. And I know the score. So New England hung with them they were like even ahead of them most of the, for the first half. But friggin' Buffalo, dude, you got to blow teams like that out. And they let New England hang for a long, long time. And they finally pulled away from them. But that's what they do in the playoffs when they stronger teams, and then they freaking get eliminated. So I hope they don't keep doing that, because I'd like to see them win. But Buffalo is definitely in. Dolphins, I mean, I don't think they make the playoffs.
Who do they have left? So they have to win out to make the playoffs. They have the Browns and the Jets,
which they can beat. But I think they may need some help though after that. Because you got Baltimore.
I think they will need a little bit of help. Where is Baltimore at right now?
Well, Baltimore and Cincinnati are 7-8, so they're.
No,
Oh, I'm
Baltimore's
not sorry.
10 and 5.
Not Baltimore. Cincinnati and Indianapolis are 7-8. So it's going to come down to those. I get a kick out of you see the quote from like Tyreek Hill and today, like he.
Oh, about Tua.
Well, just about like he, some of the drops and stuff. Well, he needs more quality time with or something. What the hell, that dude? Just freaking catch the ball and run. Jesus,
it's your job.
God damn.
You didn't need the quality time when Patrick Mahomes was
freaking receivers are ridiculous, man.
They are ridiculous.
God bless.
They're loud too. I think all of those teams play like turd teams down the stretch. It's gonna be interesting. Somebody's gonna flip up, right? Man, I would love to see what Joe Burrow could do in the playoffs, because he has been getting shit on all year for absolutely no reason, and he has the best wide receiver this year. Jamar Chase is a monster.
Oh, he's a monster.
Cincinnati's idiots for not signing him before the season. Now his contract's going to be massive. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I don't think Cincinnati plays Denver and Pittsburgh, and I don't think they win both of those games. I mean, they can win them, but I just don't see them winning both of those. That's tough.
The Colts have the Giants and Jacksonville.
Yeah. So the Colts. But the thing with the Colts, they do stupid shit, so you never know about them.
Shit. Yes.
I think I mean, Miami might have the best chance, but I don't know who has the tiebreaker. I mean, Cleveland and New York are two friggin' horrible teams, so I think
really bad.
They should win those.
Should.
And Indianapolis should win, but Jesus, they're you never know about those dudes either.
It's very true. Okay, let's move to the AFC North. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Who's winning it?
I'm gonna say Baltimore jumps them.
I do too. The Steelers their defense is good, but they kind of just look like they just keep winning, but they look very pedestrian.
Yeah. They made a lot of mistakes this last week.
If they don't have that wide receiver on the field, they look bad. They look not good.
No, and they play Kansas City next, and then Cincinnati, which honestly both those teams could beat them.
But Baltimore's kind of been not great either, and they have the Texans and the Browns.
And the Texans are tough, so that's going to be a tough game. The Browns, the Browns actually have a pretty decent defense, but their offense,
they're not going to win.
They have no offense. No,
Baltimore's winning that game.
They're not going to win.
Baltimore's winning that game.
I think Baltimore takes it, and I think Pittsburgh's the wild card there.
Nice. Okay, AFC South is already locked up. Houston already won that division, so we'll see how they do. I just don't. They're a fun team. They're just gonna not. They're not gonna hang up with these big dogs. The other AFC West, Kansas City kind of locked that up. Denver and Los Angeles are kind of fighting it out right now for second place in that division. But I think both those teams move in to the playoffs as well. Broncos look good.
Broncos do look good. And Bo Nix looks good. And I think, so the Chargers have New England and Vegas left. So I think they win those.
Okay. But yeah. And honestly, the Broncos might not win. They have the Bengals and the Chiefs.
Two tough guys. I would say they probably lose one of those.
And Bengals have their back up against the wall at this point. They got to win out.
Yeah, they have a tougher road, but they both should probably get in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all L.A. If the Chargers win those two games, then somebody's getting left out, right? A couple teams are getting left out at that point.
That's true.
So we'll see. And then let's go over the NFC. You've got Philly. Does Washington catch them?
No.
Okay,
so I don't think so.
So Washington goes in as a wild card.
I think Washington goes in. Yeah, that's you're saying the Philly's going to lose the next two games. They're not going to lose two more games. Not the last two.
Their defense looked not good, man. I could see them losing. Okay, well they have the Cowboys
Dallas,
and the Giants. They're not losing both those games.
They have the Cowboys and the Giants. The Cowboys have a great defense, so they might, and they're actually playing well. The Giants.
That's a no-go.
That's never going to happen.
All right. Now we've got an intriguing battle here in the NFC South. We already talked about that Detroit, Minnesota. So I'm going to go over, jump over the North, and let's talk about the South. Falcons and the Bucks. One of those teams going to make it.
Yeah, I
Who do you
think.
got?
Here's the thing. I'm gonna. So the Falcons have to play Washington and Carolina, and I think Washington's going to be a really really tough game for the Falcons. And especially so Penix is playing like he's got to play a big boy game coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think the Bucks have an easier road. I believe they have the
Panthers
Saints,
and Saints.
the Saints and the Panthers. So
Yep.
now they should win both. North Carolina, they are playing much better, but I think they sneak in. I think the Bucks sneak in
over Atlanta.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Rookie quarterback in for Atlanta, and they still don't give Bijan the ball enough. I don't know what the hell they're doing there.
No, I
But
don't know either.
I think Tampa just has the better offense in the long run. They kind of leapfrog them. And then Seattle and the Rams are in a battle for that division as well. Who you got there?
I'd love to see Seattle sneak in. The Rams have Arizona and Seattle left. It's probably going to come down to that last game. I think they beat. So Arizona's eliminated, and I just like we talked earlier. I think just a little bit of a less motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seattle has Chicago, and I think it goes to that last game. I think the head-to-head game determines it.
Yeah,
I
think
guess.
LA loses next week, and they're playing the Cardinals. Like you said, Cardinals kind of checked out. They looked, I don't know what, they shit the bed this past week and lost. But if they lose that game, that Seattle game is huge, right? Whoever wins that makes it.
Yeah.
I think they have I think right now, if LA wins out, they have it if LA wins this week, they have it because they already have a tiebreaker win over Seattle.
They might do it then.
They beat them earlier in the year. So I guess they would have to still, even if they lost this game and they played each other, it's whoever wins. But I think the Rams win. I think the Rams sneak in. Seattle's just kind of like been so up and down this year, and Geno's been very up and down. And I just don't think they're going to match up very well these last two games. I think
it's going to be. I think it's going to be tough for Seattle. Just they're not quite there. They have a good team, but I don't think they're quite there. Maybe they're missing a couple playmakers or something. But I agree. I think the Rams end up in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Rapid question. Who wins the Super Bowl right now? If you had to pick one team, we've done this every week, and I know it changes every week, but you got to change it every week, right? Who wins it?
I'm still gonna hang with Buffalo.
And it's hard. It's getting harder to pick the Chiefs, but I still have to. They've only got one loss, and they're doing it. They did it without Mahomes for a little bit there. Andy Reid is too hard to bet against. I still think the Chiefs repeat.
Probably the Chiefs. I would go with Detroit, but I just think they have so many injuries.
That's the problem.
At some point, it's got. Yeah, I could be wrong, but at some point, you think the injuries got to catch them, man, because they have a great team, and I think without the injuries, my God, I would have overwhelmingly picked them. I think they're by far the best team.
Yeah.
I just worry about the injury. I'd love to see them. Honestly, I hope they do it, but I think that's going to be tough. And I pick Buffalo literally every year, and every year they screw me. But I'm going to pick them again.
They do.
And see, we'll see. And nice playoff games up in Buffalo in the winter. I love that. So that's great. That's good stuff, man.
I want to see so badly one of the NFC North teams just make that run. Packers, Vikings, Lions.
Oh yeah. That's right? Great watching those games. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. But I think we're in for some really fun football down the stretch here in the NFL, as well as college too. I think we're going to see some kind of like breakout star games. It has to be somebody has to step up in some of these games to kind of change it. We already saw Josh Allen start doing that. Can Detroit have somebody do that? I mean, shit, can Sam Darnold do it for Minnesota? So we'll see.
It'd be good. It'd be fun to watch. There's teams that can win it. I'll put it that way. There's some teams I don't think can, but I'm still hanging with Buffalo, man.
All right. Well, we'll have to see as it plays out there, my friend. Well, that's all I've got for NFL, unless you have anything else to cover.
That's it, man. That's all I got.
All right. Well, Bunk, I think we had a wonderful Christmas podcast.
It was a Christmas podcast, everyone.
Christmas podcast. Happy holidays to all. Merry Christmas. And hopefully we get some good sports down the run here. I guess we'll have to start talking about basketball soon because football's winding down.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started on basketball.
I'll get you started.
I got a soapbox for basketball, but yeah, we'll
start at the top of the year.
We will. We'll start when we absolutely have to.
All right, Bunk. Well, thank you all for joining us. If you want to shoot in a question, please email us at the Bunk and Pick podcast at gmail.com and check out the social medias. Give us likes, all that fun stuff. Bunk, any holiday parting messages for the people?
I don't. You know what? I appreciate you guys joining us. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season, and we'll be right here again next week. We're not taking any breaks. We're going to have Big G in the house. He's coming in town, so we'll have him in the studio. And then I think, as Pick said, we're going to look for some enhancements next year.
Whoa. Why are you calling it like
enhancements? We're going to do like a little video and get some other stuff going. So just hang with us.
Most people's brains go somewhere else when you say an enhancement.
Enhancement. We're enhancing ourselves.
No, that's a word.
A Christmas enhancement.
Oh, gross.
but no, we hope we appreciate you guys joining us, and have a great Christmas and New Year. And like I said, we'll be here next week doing it all over.
There?
We're gonna be rolling balls. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.